My whole life was a series of trauma, like so much trauma, so many different things. And all I wanted was to be loved. And so I was willing to do anything to make me feel better. My goals in my early 20s and even 17 years old is to get married and have a child and be a mom. That's all I ever wanted. It sounds really silly, but that's what led me into the industry. It led me into relationships with men because I wanted to get married. I wanted to have a child. And a lot of times the way to earn love was to be whatever they wanted me to be. Whatever they wanted me to be is who I became. And so I meet a photographer. He's happy to shoot me. He thinks I'm gonna he's gonna put me in some magazine or whatever. And so that gave me a little bit of hope. And it sounds stupid that you would go in the porn industry to be loved, but I didn't have real love in my life. Just that little bit of hope kept me going. The porn industry kind of paints a picture that these ladies are confident, they want to be there, and they're ready to fulfill all of your fantasies. But that's a lie. I couldn't be me. I had to be somebody else. I had to look the part. I had to pretend to be confident, pretend to be interested in what was happening. I ended up in an abusive relationship with somebody who actually I worked with in the industry. And we were together for 3 years, three and a half years. And he would rape me all the time and get me pregnant. I had situations where I was, sexually abused by people on set. And like when I was a child, I would just disconnect. So I'm not really there. I'm disconnected and I'm scared. Which is why I'm disconnecting. That desperation in those situations caused me to go even deeper into depression, to have more anxiety, to be more desperate. I was very suicidal. I don't even know how many times I tried. But nobody was stopping me. I even would tell people, like I told my mom, I was really longing for her to say, don't do that. I love you. You're worth so much. So nobody stopped me. I was just really confused during that point in my life. Like, I felt like everybody looked at porn. I felt like if I didn't give myself to somebody, they were going to take it anyway. And I don't know why I did it for so long. I mean, I guess because I didn't have anybody that loved me. Nobody to tell me, don't do that. You're worth so much more than this. Nobody told me that. Just nobody believed in me. I secluded myself. I didn't go out. I didn't have girlfriends during this period of my life, which is very common. A lot of times the women, they don't go out. A lot of these girls are experiencing PTSD the same amount as veterans of combat war. The porn industry doesn't show that part because they know that nobody would want to buy their video if they knew what happened to these ladies. It would kill the fantasy. The last year that I was in the sex industry, I met a guy. He was a nice guy. He didn't hit me. He didn't yell at me. I thought, this is going to be the guy that I marry. We were together 24/7, every day together. So what happened was he was going out of town. And so I just knew if he had space for me, he's going to do something that I won't agree with. So when he left, I gave him a kiss and I said, please don't go to any strip clubs. You know, I don't know why I thought he would, because he never did when we were together, as far as I knew. But I had the feeling, I just did. So I said that, and then the next night he called me from out of town at like 2 a.m., drunk. I hear music in the background. I'm like, are you at a strip club? He said no. The next day, I asked him again, and when he was sober, and he told me yes, that's where he went. And I was devastated. It was not just that he went there, it was because 7 years of trying to be the perfect fantasy dream girl, and now the one guy who doesn't abuse me is going to see another woman to fantasize about her. So that was really devastating to me, because I realized no matter what I did, I was never going to be enough. I hung up the phone and I just started crying like so hard. I couldn't even stand up. So I sat down on the ground. I was crying and crying. I felt crushed. I felt like this was my only chance. And then I started praying. I hadn't prayed in a really long time. But I knew Jesus when I was a little girl. But after all the things that happened, I didn't know where he was. Why did he do this to me? Why did he leave me? Why, you know, and I prayed and I said, God, if you're real, I need to know it. I need you to tell me. I need it to be really clear, because I don't feel you in my life. I gone through so many traumatic things and you haven't been there. So I prayed that. I wish I would have prayed that earlier, because he did reveal himself to me. So I was sitting on the set, and I was sitting next to a guy, and he was just making small talk with me, so I thought. But he said, what kind of work do you do? And I told him I'm a model. And he's like, well, what kind of modeling? And I told him I made up a bunch of little like companies that I had worked for. And then he's like, what else? And he kept like prying. So finally I just said, okay, I do adult stuff. I do porn. And he was like, do you believe in God? I was like, yes. Like, I just prayed for a sign. Now this guy sitting next to me. I was a little girl who was a believer. And all these years, so many things had happened that I kind of lost my faith. But this was the sign I was looking for. It was just a simple question. And I knew that that was God telling me that he loved me. He said, you know, well, do you know you can have a different life? You don't have to do this anymore. And he believed in me. He said, asked me if I would like to pray with him. So I went outside and I prayed with him. And I prayed for God to come into my heart and to just do, I don't even know what I prayed. But there were so many things that needed to happen and that I needed. And, you know, God knew those things. And so we prayed. I cried. I went back inside. A few days later, he reached out to me and he suggested that I get out of LA. I got on an airplane, headed to Virginia, and my new friend, I went to be with his family for a week or two. I knew that God was speaking to me through this person. Now he wants to speak to me through these people I don't even know, church people. Like, I don't belong with that group, or so I thought. But then they showed me so much love. They weren't judgmental. They hung out with me, talked to me. It was as if I never had done anything. So I met my husband, and we had a friendship first. He was so different from any other guy. The way that I knew that he was the right one is because he didn't take advantage of me. But the thing is, I knew that the man that God would have for me wouldn't do those things. It was very healing. So he helped me believe in men again. He totally changed everything that I thought, and he earned my trust. And that was it. That's what I needed. I just hope that the men will understand that there's a heartbeat behind the girl who they're watching. She's not just an object. She's a real person, and a lot of times she's had really painful things that have happened to her. What gives me joy now is being able to help other people. You know, I work with women who come out of the sex industry or are victims of sex trafficking, and we meet once a week, and we're where I was. They don't know their worth. They think they're worth nothing. They don't have encouragement. They don't have family, and that makes me really have joy when I see these ladies and they're not going back and they're doing all the hard work. I feel like I'm supposed to be at that point in their life to encourage them because of what my life was like. It makes me feel like my story wasn't wasted.